If you've ever been to a foreign country that speaks a different language than your own, you were probably frustrated while trying to communicate with others. You, having not been exposed to many different languages, might have a hard time wrapping your mind around the fact that people can't understand you. And that's when you begin to wonder, why can't there be a universal language? Before we can answer this question, we need to first define what a universal language is. Well, Chinese is spoken by more people than any other language in the world. In fact, 1 out of every 7 people on Earth speak Chinese. So it could be what we're looking for. English, however, is the most worldwide language. That is, more than 50 countries around the world speak it as an official, semi-official, or mother language. Or a universal language could be a language that is the same everywhere you go, such as music or the Latin names of species. But it's not like you can communicate with regular people using music. So the way we'll define a universal language is a language that is understood and spoken by everyone no matter where you come from. As far as we know, a language like we're describing is non-existent. But why did so many languages evolve? How did the 6,700 different languages on Earth come to be? Why couldn't everyone speak the same language? Now you might be thinking, that's silly. It's like asking why is everyone different from everyone else? It's just a combination of traits from its predecessors, right? To which I say, not exactly. Sure, French, Spanish, and Italian all evolved from Latin, but not in the exact same way that animals evolve. It has less to do with mutations and more to do with the circumstances that our ancestors faced. Since this was before cell phones, automobiles, and the interwebs, things moved a lot slower at the time when the languages we have today evolved. Okay, so the best way to explain this is through an example. So here it is. Let's say you're a tribe of nomads from 115,000 years ago, and having just evolved into Homo sapiens, you want to migrate from Africa to, let's say Europe. Of course, this wasn't called Europe until 600 BC. That's not the point. Anyway, you find a nice valley in Eastern Europe where there are thankfully no pesky Neanderthals, and your tribe thrives and sophisticates into a blossoming civilization. What does this have to do with languages, you ask? Well, be patient, I'm getting to that. Anyway, your civilization has developed a pretty well-defined language. Your people have created a name for everything and can communicate effectively. One day, one of the brave men of your tribe decides he wants to venture outside of the valley, a feat no one has ever attempted before. So he gathers a group of people and supplies and explores the surrounding area only to find another village not too far from their own. So they're like, whoa, it's other people like us. So then they go back and tell the rest of the people of your village, and soon you and the other village are trading and socializing, and since their language is different from yours, their language and your language combine. This has happened on a global scale throughout human history, and is just one of the many examples of how languages can evolve. But there are ways for languages to evolve without combining. Languages also evolve from generation to generation. Professor Simon Kirby did an awesome experiment on this, which was featured in the show Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman. The experiment goes like this. A person is brought in and showed a few words of a made-up language that at first is pretty much unlearnable, and afterwards asking the volunteer to type in what they thought the words were, which in turn was taught to the next person. By the time they quizzed the last volunteer on the language, they were able to get all the questions right, whereas the first volunteer who was quizzed on the original words couldn't get any of them. Why was this? Because as more people guessed what each word was, the words got simpler and simpler. Languages can evolve in this way as well. From generation to generation, languages evolve in a way that makes it easier for the next generation to learn them. To answer the original question, the reason why there are so many languages is because of the way we, our brains, and our environment evolved. But I don't think that the huge variety of different languages that we have is a bad thing. Language is a way for groups of people of different backgrounds to represent the uniqueness of their culture. In fact, I believe that languages are a vital part of human nature to strive for pride and belonging amongst their peers. A unilingual world, in my opinion, would be boring. So the next time you struggle with a person who speaks a different language, just remember that what they are doing is representing their people's pride and identity. Anyway, I'll see you later.